They tell you that you are free. They whisper it from childhood. Follow your dreams, make your choices, carve your destiny. Yet beneath the surface of this comforting lie, something far darker is moving. You don't choose freely. You've never chosen freely. Every so-called decision you've ever made has been nudged, framed, engineered by invisible hands. What you wear, what you desire, who you admire, even who you think you love. It was all placed inside you like seeds planted in soil. And the most dangerous gardeners are not governments, not corporations, but the seducers who master the human mind. Seducers are not bound by morality. They do not play by the rules of fairness that the rest of the world clings to. They see human beings as strings waiting to be pulled, doors waiting to be unlocked, weaknesses waiting to be exploited. To them, you are not a person, you are a puzzle. And they will take pleasure in solving you, piece by piece, until your choices are no longer yours, but theirs. Think of the last time you felt compelled, magnetized toward someone. Maybe it was a stranger who looked at you just a little too long. Maybe it was the voice of someone who always seemed to say what you wanted to hear before you even asked. Or maybe it was that moment when you bought something you didn't need, signed up for something you didn't care for, said yes when everything in you wanted to say no. That moment was not weakness, it was design. Because seduction is not an accident, it is an architecture. Seducers thrive in the shadows of illusion. They understand that people crave stories more than they crave truth. They know that human beings are addicted to the idea of being special, chosen, desired. And so the seducer crafts narratives that entrap the mind. You're not like the others. No one understands you the way I do. You deserve more than this. These words sound harmless, even flattering, but beneath them lies the hook. Each phrase is a key, opening doors in your psyche you didn't even know existed, and once opened, you can never close them again. The brilliance of seduction is that it feels like freedom. You believe you are the one making choices. You believe your actions spring from your own will. Yet in reality, you are being directed down a path chosen long before you stepped on it. True control is invisible. True power disguises itself as your own desire. Why does this work so easily? Because most people live in delusion. They want to believe the world is fair. They want to believe others act out of kindness, honesty, and authenticity. But reality is far more ruthless. The world is not built on fairness. It is built on exploitation. And those who refuse to see this truth are the easiest prey. The naive are not innocent. They are vulnerable. Seduction is not always sexual. In fact, the greatest seducers rarely begin there. They operate in politics, religion, business, and friendship. They become mentors, leaders, lovers, allies. Their weapon is not the body, but the mind. They create loyalty where none should exist. They spark desire where there should only be neutrality. They ignite fear where none was needed. And once these emotions take root, they grow like wildfire. The one who controls emotion controls the mind. You might ask, how can people fall for this? How can entire crowds, movements, even nations be seduced? The answer is terrifyingly simple. People are predictable. They seek pleasure, avoid pain, and hunger for meaning. They want to belong, to matter, to feel secure. The seducer knows this better than anyone. He studies faces, voices, silences. He listens for the unsaid. He watches where your eyes wander, and then when he has mapped your desires, he moves in, not with force, but with subtlety. A master seducer doesn't push you. He pulls you gently until you beg to move in his direction. Consider the illusion of fairness. Society teaches you to play fair, to be good, to share, to wait your turn. But fairness is a leash tied around the necks of the obedient. Seducers laugh at this leash. They know that in the real game, Those who play fair are the first to be devoured. Good men don't lose because they are weak. They lose because they are predictable. The seducer thrives because he understands that morality is a mask, and masks can be used, discarded, or weaponized. Imagine walking into a room. You think you are choosing where to sit, but the chairs have been arranged to funnel you toward a specific corner. You think you are choosing your drink, but the menu has been written to highlight one option above the others. You think you are choosing your companion, but the seducer has already mirrored your body language, stolen your rhythm, and projected back to you the reflection of your hidden longings. In the end, you don't choose. You are chosen. And yet, the greatest irony is this: most victims defend their seducers. Even when betrayed, they cling to the illusion. They will say, "No, he cared for me. No, she really loved me. It wasn't manipulation, it was real." Why? Because to admit the truth is to admit they were never in control. It is to face the most painful reality. Freedom was always an illusion. You see, the seducer doesn't need chains or cages. He builds prisons in the mind. And the prisoner not only stays willingly, but decorates the cell, locks the door from the inside, and throws away the key. That is the dark genius of seduction. The most powerful chains are invisible. But do not think this is only about them. This is about you. If you believe you have never been seduced, you are already blind. The clothes you wear, the music you like, the celebrities you admire, the products you consume, none of it is purely yours. Seducers at every level, from advertisers to influencers, from lovers to leaders, are shaping your choices. And until you learn to see the game, you will always remain a pawn on their board. Some will resist this knowledge. They will say, "No, I am different. I can't be manipulated. I am in control." That arrogance is exactly what seducers love. The belief that you are immune is the sweetest vulnerability. It blinds you to the hooks being placed in your mind, even as you laugh at the idea. The seducer thrives on your denial. This is why awareness is the first step toward immunity. You must strip away the illusions. You must learn to see not only the moves seducers make, but the desires inside you that they exploit. Because make no mistake, the weapon is not outside you, it is within. Your desires are your leash, and someone else is holding it. Think back to the last time you felt desperate for approval, the last time you wanted someone to notice you, to praise you, to validate you. That desire is not harmless, it is bait. Seducers sniff it out like predators scent blood. They know exactly what to say to amplify it, exactly how to twist it into dependence. And once you are dependent, you will obey. You will rationalize. You will justify. Because the fear of losing that approval feels worse than death. Neediness is the most seductive perfume you can wear, and predators are addicted to it. And here lies the cruel truth. Seducers don't create your weakness. They reveal it. They don't implant desires. They uncover the ones you've buried. And once revealed, those desires burn so brightly that they blind you. You stop questioning. You stop resisting. You hand over your power with trembling hands, believing you are giving a gift when in fact, you are surrendering your soul. The trap works best when you walk into it smiling. Charm is a mask, and most people never realize how heavy it is until they feel its weight crushing them. You walk into a room and someone greets you with a smile that feels warmer than fire, eyes that shine as if you are the only person alive. In that instant, you believe you've been seen, finally deeply seen. But this is not connection. This is not authenticity. It is the most calculated performance you will ever experience. Charm is not honesty. Charm is a weapon. The seducer knows what you crave long before you open your mouth. He watches the twitch of your lips when someone ignores you. He notices the way you lean forward when someone praises you. He calculates the hunger in your eyes when you speak about your dreams. And then, like an artist mixing paints, he blends these observations into a persona tailored just for you. He does not reveal himself. He reveals the version of himself you wish existed, and you fall for it. You fall because charm is designed to feel like relief. It soothes your doubts, strokes your insecurities, gives you a taste of validation that feels like oxygen after suffocation. But relief is addictive, and once you taste it, you chase it. That chase is where the seducer tightens his grip. What begins as admiration becomes dependence. Think of every great manipulator in history. None began with force. They began with charisma. They spoke in tones that mirrored their listeners, shifted their bodies in rhythms that disarmed suspicion, crafted words that dripped like honey even when hiding venom. They didn't demand loyalty, they inspired it. They didn't seize attention, they absorbed it. The greatest predators look nothing like predators, they look like saviors. It's easy to underestimate the power of charm until you are under its spell. You think you are too logical, too skeptical, too aware to fall victim. But logic is not the battlefield. Emotion is, and emotions can be hijacked faster than any rational defense can be built. The seducer knows that when your heart races, when your dopamine spikes, when your fear or desire blinds you, reason becomes irrelevant. Control is not taken from you, it is volunteered. There is a pattern to this hijacking. First comes the spark, a compliment, a glance, a shared secret. Then comes the echo. The seducer reflects back your own values, your own humor, your own style. Finally comes the escalation. The seducer destabilizes you emotionally. One moment they flood you with attention. The next, they withdraw it. One moment they make you feel chosen. The next, they make you feel replaceable. And in that push-pull cycle, your brain begins to burn. You crave the high of their approval and fear the abyss of their silence. You are trapped in a cage with invisible bars. But the seducer does not rush. He knows that desperation tastes better when it ferments. So he waits. He withholds. He becomes mysterious. He lets your imagination do the work for him, filling the silence with fantasies, building castles of meaning where there is only manipulation. You think about him when he is not there. You replay his words, searching for hidden meaning. You obsess, and the obsession itself becomes his greatest tool. Mystery is the seducer's silence, and silence is louder than words. Have you noticed how certain smells, songs, or places can trigger a flood of memories? That is not coincidence. That is conditioning. Seducers understand this deeply. They anchor themselves to specific triggers so that whenever you encounter them, you feel them. A scent of cologne, a certain phrase whispered just so, a song that plays at the exact moment they lean closer. These anchors bypass logic and tie straight into your nervous system. Over time, you no longer respond to reality, you respond to their programming. You are not remembering them, you are reliving them. The tragedy is that you mistake this for chemistry. You say to yourself, we just click, it's fate, it's destiny. But nothing about it is destiny, it is design. The seducer is patient enough to build the Pavlovian cage around your desires, ringing bells you cannot resist. And every time you chase that bell, you sink deeper into dependency. Desire feels like freedom, but operates like chains. The predator's patience is not laziness, it is calculation. He knows the easiest way to scare prey is to lunge too quickly, so he doesn't. He hides in the tall grass, letting you graze, letting you relax, letting you believe you are safe. Only when you are lulled into complete comfort does he strike, and by then your guard is so low you barely notice the claws sinking in. The longer the wait, the deeper the control. Consider the conversations you've had with people who seemed magnetic. They didn't fill the silence with chatter. They paused. They let you lean into the gap, desperate to keep the connection alive. Every second of silence made their next word 10 times more powerful. This is not accident, it is deliberate, because seducers understand a truth most ignore. Power is not in what you say, but in what you refuse to say. The silence works because it triggers your insecurity. You begin to wonder, did I say something wrong? Did I bore them? Are they losing interest? That doubt eats at you, and in your attempt to erase it, you give more, you share more, you prove yourself harder. The seducer doesn't chase you, you chase them. And once you are chasing, you are no longer in control. The hunted becomes the hunter of their own predator. At the core of all these tactics lies emotional hijacking. To seduce is not simply to attract, it is to destabilize. Stable people do not cling, stable people do not surrender. So the seducer injects instability, bursts of joy followed by coldness, intimacy followed by withdrawal, praise followed by criticism. This whirlwind leaves you dizzy, unable to find your footing, and in your desperation for balance, you lean harder into the arms of the one who unbalanced you in the first place. The cure is hidden in the poison. You may believe you can outthink this, that knowledge of these tactics makes you immune, but awareness does not erase desire. Even when you know the game, your body responds. Your heart still races, your pupils still dilate, your dopamine still surges. Seducers exploit biology itself, and biology does not ask for your permission. Your brain is the battlefield, and your emotions are the weapons used against you. What makes seducers truly dangerous is not that they understand psychology, it's that they embody it. They don't need textbooks or theories. They live it, breathe it, practice it until it becomes instinct. When you smile, they know whether it's real or forced. When you lie, they hear the crack in your tone. When you pretend to be confident, they spot the tremor in your hands. And they file all of this away, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. They do not see you as you wish to be seen. They see you as you are. This is why people so often say, "He understands me better than anyone else." Of course he does. He has studied you like prey, analyzed you like a puzzle, dissected you like a surgeon. And when he reflects that knowledge back to you, it feels like intimacy, but it is not intimacy. It is leverage. The more you reveal, the more you are owned. The predator's mind is not born, it is shaped. It is shaped by betrayal, by disappointment, by the cold realization that the world is not what it pretends to be. Every predator you fear once walked among the naive, once trusted too easily, once believed too much. But then came the fracture, the day they saw the mask slip, the moment they realized kindness is a tool, fairness is a leash, and morality is a cage. In that moment, the prey begins to die and the predator begins to emerge. Naivety is the soil. Ruthlessness is the harvest. To see the world through a predator's eyes is to strip away every comforting illusion. There are no friends, only allies of convenience. There is no truth, only narratives that serve power. There is no justice, only outcomes. Once this vision sets in, everything changes. You stop asking, what is fair? And you begin asking, what is useful? You stop wondering, what is right? And you begin wondering, what is effective? This shift is not just mental, it is existential. The predator does not live in the world of should. He lives in the world of is. Look around you. The majority of people cling to illusions like children clutching toys. They say, people are good at heart. They say, if I'm honest, others will be honest too. They say, if I give, I'll receive in return. These are not truths. They are fairy tales. and fairy tales are written for those too weak to face reality. Seducers, manipulators, predators, they feed on these beliefs. They smile at them, they nod at them, and then, while you sleep inside your dream, they are already stripping you of everything you thought was safe. Belief in goodness is the sweetest poison. The predator does not despise morality, he uses it. He wears it like a cloak, knowing the herd trusts anyone who speaks its language. He praises fairness in public while exploiting weakness in private. He speaks of loyalty while positioning escape routes. He preaches honesty while hiding his intentions behind a mask. This is not hypocrisy, this is strategy. Hypocrisy is unconscious contradiction. Strategy is deliberate contrast. The predator weaponizes the very values that keep others weak. Think about history. Leaders who conquered nations did not rise because they were the most honest, the most kind, the most gentle. They rose because they understood fear. They understood that respect is stronger than love, and fear is stronger than both. They cultivated images of strength, ruthlessness, inevitability, and the people followed, not because they loved them, but because they had no choice. Fear is the foundation of obedience. The predator's mind does not hunger for approval. Approval is for children. Approval makes you soft, malleable, enslaved to the opinions of others. The predator seeks respect, and when respect is not given, he takes fear. He knows that admiration is fleeting, but fear anchors itself in the bones. Fear endures. Fear ensures silence, compliance, submission. Better to be hated and obeyed than loved and ignored. But ruthlessness is not recklessness. The predator does not lash out blindly. He calculates, he measures, he waits. Ruthlessness is not cruelty for its own sake. It is precision, a scalpel rather than a hammer. When a predator cuts, he cuts deeply and cleanly. He wastes nothing. He chooses moments that echo, strikes that shatter illusions permanently. This is why his enemies collapse, not because he fought endlessly, but because he fought intelligently. One decisive strike is worth 1,000 wasted battles. You may resist this mindset. You may tell yourself, I don't want to become cold. I don't want to lose my humanity. But what is humanity? Humanity, as most understand it, is weakness dressed as virtue. It is surrender dressed as kindness. It is compliance dressed as morality. The predator does not reject humanity entirely. He refines it. He takes only what is useful, charm, empathy, patience, and discards the rest. He is not inhuman. He is more than human. Predators are not heartless. They are selective. To survive as prey is to live constantly on edge, waiting for mercy, hoping for fairness, praying for salvation. To survive as predator is to eliminate hope from the equation. Hope makes you passive. Hope makes you wait. Hope makes you blind to opportunity. The predator replaces hope with will. He does not hope for respect. He demands it. He does not hope for opportunity. He creates it. He does not hope for survival. He ensures it. Hope is the opiate of prey. Will is the fuel of predators. The predator mindset requires detachment. Emotions are tools, not masters. Anger may be useful in a confrontation, but it must never control the hand that strikes. Love may be useful in binding others, but it must never blind the one who gives it. Fear may be useful in motivating the herd, but it must never paralyze the leader. The predator feels, but he feels with distance, with discipline. He chooses when to display, when to conceal, when to amplify. Emotion is the paint, but the predator holds the brush. Consider the difference between prey and predator when betrayed. The prey crumbles, he cries, he shouts, he begs. He takes the betrayal personally, drowning in questions like, how could they do this to me? The predator does not ask how. He asks why. and what next. Betrayal is not a wound, it is information. It reveals weakness in others, misplaced trust in himself, and opportunities for power. While the prey is still mourning, the predator is already moving pieces on the board. Pain slows the weak but sharpens the predator. Every predator develops psychological immunity. This is not numbness, it is resilience. It is the ability to feel the sting of manipulation without collapsing under it. The predator studies lies without hating them. He observes betrayal without drowning in bitterness. He accepts cruelty without falling into despair. Immunity is not the absence of pain. It is mastery over it. Just as a body becomes stronger by resisting disease, the mind becomes untouchable by resisting illusion. Immunity is the armor of the ruthless, but this armor must be built. And it is built through confrontation, through exposure, through embracing the very things others run from. The predator seeks discomfort because comfort breeds softness. He walks into conflict willingly because conflict sharpens instincts. He faces rejection because rejection reveals where power truly lies. In every sting, every cut, every wound, the armor thickens, and one day he realizes what others fear no longer touches him. The immune cannot be seduced, they can only seduce. The path of power always narrows at the top, and those who walk it discover that there are no signposts pointing the way. You cannot rely on society's rules because those rules were written to keep the masses obedient, not to help the ambitious rise. The rules of men are prisons for the strong, cages disguised as moral codes. The one who wishes to command must see past the illusions and step into the brutal clarity that only the fearless understand. Every man has a choice: to remain chained by the invisible ropes of obligation, or to burn them and walk free. But freedom is not safety. Freedom is dangerous. To claim power is to embrace danger as your constant companion, and to wear it like a cloak rather than a burden. Those who shy away from risk settle into mediocrity. Those who take it on, who wield it like a weapon, bend reality toward their will. The world admires the facade of fairness, but beneath it lies a battlefield of predators and prey. People pretend that kindness governs human affairs, yet history whispers another truth. The empires that survived, the leaders that endured, the names etched in the memory of civilizations were not remembered for their compassion alone. They were remembered because they had the courage to make choices others feared. Greatness is not born from fairness. Greatness is born from dominance. It begins not in action but in perception. Before a leader conquers others, he conquers the battlefield of the mind. He learns to silence the whispers of self-doubt, to crush the illusions that tell him to be small, and to replace them with the voice of command. The first throne you must claim is inside yourself. Without mastery of the inner kingdom, no outer conquest will last. Think about the men who walk unnoticed, invisible in a crowd. They shrink themselves to fit within the invisible boundaries drawn by others. They play roles assigned to them, never daring to step outside the script. But then there are the rare ones who stand differently, who seem to command the very air around them. People cannot explain it, but they feel it. An undeniable presence. This presence is not an accident. It is the product of deliberate creation. Power radiates when a man decides he will not apologize for existing. Every eye is searching for authority, whether it admits it or not. Most people crave someone to follow, someone to set direction in a world that feels chaotic. But the crowd will never hand you this role willingly. They will test you, resist you, and challenge you. Only by showing that you cannot be bent, that your will cuts sharper than theirs, do they begin to yield. Respect is never given, it is forced into existence. To embody power, you must shed the illusions of equality. The truth is uncomfortable, but undeniable. Not all men are equal in resolve, in courage, in capacity to lead. Equality is a story told to calm the weak, to prevent rebellion. But those who wake up see through the story. They understand that hierarchy is natural, dominance is essential, and submission is the fate of the unprepared. If you wish to command, you must embrace the role without hesitation. But commanding is not loudness, nor arrogance, nor the shallow display of wealth. True command is quieter and heavier. It is felt in silence, in the way a man holds himself, in the unshakable confidence that radiates without words. It is the refusal to lower yourself, the ability to stay composed when others tremble, the cold calmness when others panic. Command is not what you show. It is what they feel in your presence. You do not need to win every battle to be feared. You do not need to speak often to be listened to. In fact, restraint is a greater weapon than recklessness. When you hold back, when you act selectively, when you move with calculation, people begin to imagine the storms you could unleash if you chose. Fear is born not only from what you do, but from what they think you are capable of. The most dangerous men are those whose silence terrifies louder than others shouting. But to reach this level, one must make sacrifices. You cannot carry weakness with you and expect to ascend. You must cut away the need for constant approval, the desire for universal friendship, the comfort of blending in. A king cannot walk as a commoner. He must accept the loneliness of the throne. Many fail here because they crave the warmth of belonging. But belonging is slavery. The man who belongs to everyone is owned by everyone. The man who belongs to no one commands everyone. Remember this: people admire kindness, but they follow strength. They may thank you for generosity, but they kneel before authority. A kind man may be loved, but he is easily betrayed. A powerful man may be feared, but he is rarely crossed. Which fate would you prefer? To be remembered as pleasant or to be remembered as untouchable? History forgets the agreeable. It immortalizes the dominant. There will always be whispers urging you back to safety. Friends who tell you to be reasonable. Family who urges you to avoid risks. Voices of society warning you of arrogance. These voices are not malicious. They are weak, and the weak cannot guide the strong. The path of dominance is not visible to those who fear shadows. If you listen to them, you will share their fate. If you rise above them, you will claim what they never dared to touch. The art of command is also the art of manipulation. To influence others is not cruelty. It is necessity. Every great leader has bent perception, shaped belief, and directed minds. Those who fear manipulation are the easiest to be manipulated. The true master understands that influence is power itself. Control the perception, and you control the man. Control the man, and you control his world. This is the architecture of dominance, and yet it is not enough to learn these truths. They must be lived. Knowledge alone is impotent without the fire of application. You must test these principles in the small arenas of your daily life, in conversation, in negotiations, in conflict. Every interaction is a battlefield where you can practice command. The man who trains daily in the subtle art of dominance becomes unbreakable in the larger wars.